That's a little barn swallow. So sweet.
Hey bird, what are you doing? This might be a young one. I wonder if it was the one that was in the nest.
Thank you for joining me at Tiny Barn Farm. Today is a big day in the garden. We are going to be planting our tomato plants finally. Just can't wait any longer. These tomatoes are getting massive and they're getting a little bit difficult to handle. Today's going to be challenging, getting these in the ground. They're really tall and lanky, so I'm afraid there's always a risk of breakage when I'm moving them, so I don't really want to keep moving them around anymore. Hoping to just get them in the ground, fastened to the stakes, and yeah, finally getting these babies growing in the garden. We have 2 swallows nesting in our barn, side by side, little condo units. And they fly around and get very upset. But it's kind of sweet that they're nesting there. And even with our presence, they have not abandoned their nests, which is good. We don't even know if there are babies up there, but I suppose there are if the sparrows are around, getting very upset with us. Swallows. I keep calling them sparrows, but they're swallows. They are. So this is what we're looking at for tomato plants. They are quite large and long. Oh my god. So even just getting these to the garden is going to be a challenge. I was just in the barn and there's a baby swallow in there. Oh my god, so cute, sitting in the nest waiting for its mother. So I was going to get the wagon to help me carry the tomato plants to the garden, but I think I'm going to leave them. It looks like the baby is about to leave the nest. So we're going to tread a little carefully in the barn today. Because I saw we have starlings nesting up in the rafters of this. This is an unfinished building, so it's open. So we've kind of just accepted that there are baby birds nesting in this building. But yeah, so the little starlings left the nest yesterday and we were watching them last evening. But today it looks like the little barn swallow is just sitting in the nest looking down. So looks like he's about to make a move, or she. So yeah, pretty exciting, but I don't want to upset the mother, so let's just leave them be for today, and I guess I'll be carrying those plants manually to the garden. To admit that was a little stressful. I've never had tomatoes this big. Like usually they're about 1 foot tall, and I even started them in mid-April just to push them forward because I knew that they could get to the size. But with this kind of these cold nights, these tomatoes have just shot up. They were very much enjoying the nice south window we have in our house. But they're massive, so yeah, I have to really tread carefully, but I got them in the holes and I got them untangled, so that's good. I may have a couple that aren't gonna make it because they're broken, so we'll see. I'm gonna plant them anyway and hope for the best. This tomato plant already has little tomatoes on it. I got some manure here. I've got my water. We're gonna need a lot of water, so I'm gonna be doing a few water trips. I'm actually gonna add in a little bit of bone meal, not too much. I also mix the manure in with the soil that's already in there. I don't want them to I don't want it to like burn the plant roots, but I will add a little bit of bone meal, a little bit of, actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just sprinkle this in here. Do it that way. Kind of mix it up. So this is a Roma plant. I always label them with these little handy labels. So this is a Roma plant. I'm going to take it out of the pot. It's already starting to form little roots along the base. These little nubs that are starting to form there, those are roots. So I like to plant my tomato plants pretty deep. Put a little bit of that in first and mix it with the native soil just to dilute it a little bit. And then plunk this plant in, kind of break up the root ball slightly. Just kind of give it a bit of a massage. And it's okay if the tomato's a little bit far from the stake, like even if it's like a foot away, I just lean the tomato back into the stake. Tomatoes like a lot of water, and because they get stressed out when they're planted, it's good to just give them a lot of water so that they don't get too dried out. They're very sensitive plants, very high maintenance, but they're worth it. A freshly sliced tomato is always worth it. Oh, okay. Just drop the rest of the soil in here. I try to get some of the manure that I had added prior in there. The nice thing about the water is it takes out any air pockets. Roots do not like air pockets, they'll dry out. So we try to make sure that there's no air in there. And then I'm gonna give it a bit of a shove. And similar to, I don't know if you had watched the fruit tree planting, the fruit shrubs and the blueberry bushes and the apple trees that we planted, I always leave a bowl around the tomato plant. And that way, when it rains, it fills the bowl and it stays with the plant. It doesn't just run off the beds. Create that bowl around it. So as you can see, probably, I would say this one was probably about a third of the plant ended up underground. I prefer to see more like half the plant, but a third will do. But yeah, I'll make sure that bowl is formed. Give it another watering, even if it's just to watch how the water reacts. And this one forms nicely around it. And then, this is the tape I use. I've been using this for years. I think I bought it like 8 years ago and I'm still reusing it. As long as it stays relatively clean, it actually works really well. So this I will use to fasten the tomato plant to the stake. I don't like to see leaves touching the ground, but I'm gonna leave these just for a few days and then I'll remove the bottom branches because we don't like, when the leaves touch the ground, you tend to get bacteria that splashes up and then it could get onto the plant, like funguses and things like that. But because they're gonna be a little bit stressed from being planted, I'm just gonna leave it for now, but I will address those in a couple days. All right, so that one was what was that one again? I kind of threw the tag away. Big Roma. So I'm gonna leave that here so I know what it is. But what I do, because these fade in the sun, I'm actually gonna turn it towards the stake. Okay. Tomato plant number 2. We've got 35, so. This is a Sakura. I love this tomato variety. It's kind of I guess ping pong ball sized red fruit, and it is really good, and it actually develops like vines. They look like grapes, like these vines of tomatoes, and it's a really, really good good tomato plant that always produces a lot of tomatoes. So I plant this one every year. I've been probably planting it for 10 years now. So I'm gonna take this tomato plant. I just mixed some manure into the hole. This is a really tall plant as well. This is a viney plant, so it'll go crazy, and sometimes I have to attach it to the other vines, but that's okay. The others don't mind sharing. I guess I would use about half of one of these containers each tomato. I think this tomato plant got whipped around a little bit in the wind, so it's got some damaged leaves near the bottom. But like I said, it's a really great plant. Oh. That's a sparrow. Hey bird, what are you doing? This might be a young one. I wonder if it was the one that was in the nest. If that's the one that was in the nest, I'm just like, amazing. At some point, or actually hopefully next year, I will have a greenhouse, so I'll be planting some of my tomatoes in the greenhouse. Not all, because I like to do many and the greenhouse won't be big enough. But it'll be nice to have just some of them not beaten up by wind. Tomatoes and peppers. But for now, they're in the field, so they're gonna have to toughen up and just deal with it, I guess. There we go. That one's a beauty. All right, let's get on to these three over here and then we'll continue that way. Who would this be? Oh, Black Seaman. Really, really lovely tomato. A nice purple color and the flavor is incredible. Scoop of manure in here. Mix that in. You only get to do this once a year, so I guess in my lifetime I've only planted tomatoes like 15 times. It's not, which isn't very much. And you learn something every year. I have this little awful elastic thing on my hat because it gets so windy here. I've had my hat fly. I almost lost it once because it just flew so far away. So you gotta do what you gotta do, right? I was thinking this morning and wondering if there's anyone out there that is like, why are you doing all this? Why do we do this to ourselves? And there's something about growing our own food that, and I don't know what it is. I don't know, it's just like a basic human desire to produce for themselves, like to provide for your family or feel that sense of security. And I've always had a large garden. I mean, at least for the last decade. And I used to run a market garden, so I had a farm stand when I was living in the Muskoka area. I had a farm stand for a few years there, and it did quite well, and I really, really enjoyed that process of just meeting people, and they'd stop in and chat gardening. But I think the moment that somehow made it life-changing for me was I had a little girl that lived next door. She was about 8 or 9 years old, and her dad one day came over, and we had a really cute little farm, like we had like a mini farm stand when we started, and she was so excited about the farm stands. And he told me once that she was never a vegetable eater, like she just didn't really like vegetables, and he said that it was because of my farm stand that she started eating vegetables. And to me, that was that moment when I said, you know what, this is really important for me to do this. Like, I love it. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and I really enjoy being outside with the birds and in nature and tending to my plants. But that for me solidified the fact that this is going to be one of the more important things that I'm going to be doing with my life. And I just kept going after that. I just wanted to share that with you. That's what I was kind of thinking about as I was planting my plants here. This is a nice healthy one. This is a Brandywine, one of our faves. It's one of the very first tomato plants we ever grew was a Brandywine, and it's just kind of been part of the collection ever since. I'm trying to remember. So we do Chadwick's cherry, Brandywine, Sakura, Black Seaman. Most of them we try to do heirlooms, but every once in a while you find that tomato that's so delicious that even if it's a hybrid, I'm like, you know what, I'm planting it anyway. Sun Sugar, oh my God. I don't know if you've ever tried Sun Sugar tomatoes. They're these little orange tomatoes. They're like the size of grapes, and the flavor is just amazing. At the farm stand, those would always sell out first. So we have quite a few Sun Sugars actually. And those are kind of the garden snacks along with the snow peas. Yeah, we love eating those off the vine. And then I do grow paste tomatoes as well. The San Marzano are my favorite. I think I have some Roma this year, but those are really great for tomato sauce. I always think, actually, you know what? I do freeze bags of them. I just freeze them whole. But for the most part, we use them as the summer goes because we like making nice tomato sauces through the summer, and it's with all the fresh herbs in the garden. About halfway through planting our tomatoes. They're struggling a bit, but I think they'll be okay. Peppers will be next. They're waiting here for us. We're gonna throw them in the wagon, and I think the baby bird has left the nest, so I think we can access the wagon now. Okay, so we were just out planting tomatoes. I think they're gonna be okay. So I'm gonna highlight the tomatoes. Those are done. Yay. And next, I'm going to plant the peppers. This will be a lot more seamless. And those are going here, up there. But it's coming together. Some of the things that I did over the last week or so, I planted some corn, and I planted a whole corner of sunflowers. Those are all sunflowers. I'm considering leaving, sorry, my hands are probably all dirty from the tomato planting. I'm considering leaving this partially tart until next year, but we'll see. We'll see how things unfold. I've got turnips in the ground, zucchinis. So I have a tarp covering this whole area here. So I'm going to be pulling that off probably tomorrow or the next. And then I'm gonna pull this tarp off, plant the beans, because it's already mid-June, so yeah, those should be in the ground. You're always kind of feeling like you're a bit behind this time of year. And then the brassicas, so broccoli and cabbage and that kind of stuff is gonna go there too. And get the rest of the herbs in, and then we're kind of coming to the end. So I've got some pepper plants here that I'm gonna be planting today. They already are very happy with peppers on them. So yeah, we're hoping to get those in the ground because I think the danger of frost has passed finally. We're in zone 3, so it's a very short season here. But yeah, I've got this very handy wagon that I picked up on Facebook Marketplace for 80 bucks. And it's like a 4 foot long, and it fits my trays sideways. I'm super excited about this. And I can also flap the sides, and the back flaps down. So if I want to carry anything that's, you know, larger, I can just fold the sides down. Miles, you enjoying your day, buddy? That's our happy dog. He's 15 and he's just loving his golden years. So we're gonna plant peppers in these 2 rows. I actually selected these rows because they're right in the center of the garden at the main entrance. So I just thought it would look nice lined with pepper plants. But we have 47 plants. I didn't realize I had so many. So we're gonna see how much fits in here. They say about 18 inches apart is kind of the minimum. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just make sure there's enough manure in there. They get a lot of energy. They're actually planted differently than tomatoes. We don't bury the plant like tomato plants. So I'm gonna make sure that the stalk is just at ground level when I plant the 4-inch pot. I'll dig the holes prior. I'll put the plants in just to kind of see how many fit. Some of them are 2 plants per, so I'll have to take those apart. Okay, so I can fit 44 pepper plants. So that's pretty good. I have 47, I think I said. We grow mostly hot peppers, a mix of jalapenos, chili peppers, and habanero peppers. I find I have much more luck with the hot peppers. The the sweet peppers, they're kind of touch and go. I have a few of them, like a gypsy hybrid and like a snacking pepper or something. Actually, this little pot is very special to me. That says hot pepper on it. That's my dad's handwriting. We lost my dad about 8 years ago, and I love using his little pots so that I can grow peppers in his pepper pots. Anyway, I think that's a pretty special little pot. I'll be keeping that one. I always dedicate my gardens to my dad. He loved gardening. And he loved that I had a garden. I'm gonna add a little bit of manure. Once again, similar to the tomatoes, mix it in. But again, like I said, I don't plant them deep like the tomatoes. I just plant them to this spot. So I plunk them in, make sure they're kind of level with the existing ground. And I just fill the hole with water. Again, I'll create a bit of a bowl around this plant so that when we do get rain, and I hear that we might be getting rain tomorrow, which would be awesome because some of the other parts of the garden are drying out a bit. We've had pretty good rain this spring. It's been good. Last year was a drought, so it was pretty stressful running around with watering cans. And I just fill that with water, take out any air pockets. There we go. Pepper number 1. And we'll just rinse and repeat. Well, that's 46 pepper plants planted. So that's going to be it for today. We've done our peppers and tomatoes, which was our goal. Oh, I'm so relieved. So relieved to have those all in the ground. I wanted to thank you all so much for joining me today. Please like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.